Welcome to Eric's Garage AZ. In this episode, we have an opportunity to interview both Top Hat John and John Moss from General Motors. Well, we happen to be at Arrowhead Cadillac right now, and I guess this is a annual event that they hold for the GM retirees, and had an awesome opportunity to interview a couple of former GM employees from the design studio at General Motors. And we're just cruising down here, and Top Hat John is with me here today, and just kind of taking a look at some really cool stuff we have here. I mean, these are like old school, nice, beautiful Cadillacs and all sorts of stuff, and beautiful, beautiful cars here. Look at this. CTS. Old school Caddy. Low and slow. Oh no! I can't believe it, man. I'm here, I'm minding my own business, taking pictures of what comes up from Detroit. But John, John, how are you, dude?
We're great.
Good.
We found the man. This is the tall, cool one, Mr. John Moss from Michigan. He's here for the duration of the winters.
Wow.
This is the man that controlled the GM Specialty Vehicle Program. And
Skunkworks, right? I read an article about you.
Brought all the vehicles together that were in the different divisions and put them into one show. John, what a pleasure to have you here today, that you invited us out here to GM Alumni Club. Wow. Tell us a little bit of the wonderful thing that you did at General Motors.
Well, I don't know. It started out at Chevy. I was, an engineer for a long time, and then they developed this group called Special Vehicles at Chevy. Well, it was actually in all the different divisions. And I made a fair name for myself when we brought out a bunch of really cool cars that actually went into production. And they really changed the face and performance of Chevrolet. And then when the corporation decided to form BSSM, they brought all the divisions together down at the Renaissance Center, and they decided that I was so successful at Chevrolet that they would bring all the division special vehicle groups or group in under one person, and that was me. And so I control all the special vehicles and historic vehicles and shows and everything for all brands and all divisions in North America.
One of the things that I had the wonderful pleasure of doing things with you at your request, and what we did with Peterson events where Chevrolet was a sponsor, but something that one of the biggest accolades that you had ever gotten that you've got to really be proud of is that you were rated as one of the top 10 influential people at General Motors.
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest accolade, if you want to call it, that I ever got. That when you were in there with Louis Chevrolet and Harley Earl and Zora Duntov and Billy Durant and Ed Cole and all those people, I was mentioned as one of the top 10 in the history of Chevrolet. That was a pretty large honor.
You know, back in the 60s, mid-60s, I was supplying information for a CarCraft column called Straight Scoop. And it was written by a gentleman that actually worked at Ford Advertising, moved to Hawaii. But one of my contacts was Vince Piggins. And personally, I've always compared you to that man because Vince Piggins was so influential in Chevrolet performance.
Yes, he was. He was really heavy into the powertrains and stuff like that. He really was working heavily with NASCAR. I met him. I was there at Chevrolet when he was there. Didn't really know the man real well, but I did meet him. But yes, he was like a real starter, of performance that especially went into the late 60s, really. The big blocks and, fuel injection and all that sort of stuff.
Don't worry about the sirens. They're not coming after us.
Oh, they are coming after you.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, John. They're coming after you there, buddy.
One of the things that most of the people that have these automobiles know that you were so involved with the Impala SS that was brought back out in '84.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was given the challenge by Jim Perkins, dear friend of mine and general manager of Chevy, that the current B car was not selling well, the current Caprice, and believe it or not, we somebody saw a car that did a little customizing to it. We took it there, and then what we did is we had 2 sources working on it. In 14 days, we came out with a concept car that evolved into the Impala SS. And,
in 14 days, he came out with a concept car.
We took it to SEMA, the general manager. Nobody else even saw it.
Wow.
We debuted it at SEMA. It took SEMA by storm. Jim Perkins went out to his dealers and at the National Dealer Convention and said, "What do you think? You know, I got order forms for you. How many would you sub by?" And I think we walked out of that day with 3,000 orders, and the rest is history.
Interesting thing about
incredible, man.
John Cafaro was the guy that was with GM Styling. They happened to see this black Chevrolet going down Telegraph Road, and it was literally owned by a gentleman that owned a beer distributorship in Pontiac, and he always built an American car every year, performance-wise.
Wow.
And had a big 502 in it and did stuff. They brought it into GM Styling, and you got it done.
Yep, he made it happen. And we put it in production, and about the only changes was that evolved from the original was that they actually changed the sheet metal for that little tiny opera window and made it solid rather than the little applique that we put in. And they put it in the floor shift for the automatic transmission. Literally, those were the only 2 changes that were done from the original. Because we used the police suspension, the police
the
motor.
9C1.
Yeah, we used all of police components, the brakes. We put some killer wheels on it, and that's what
big tires.
Yeah, big tires. I had Goodyear, not Goodyear, but BF Goodrich made these special 255. 255. Yeah, I think they were 255 tires they put on it, and the rest is history. I mean, it went to production that way and sold something like about 75,000. I think.
Oh my goodness! Now, I know you've seen. I'm sorry, I just have to ask this. I know you've seen a lot of changes in the automotive industry, and you've been out of the actual automotive industry for a while now. What do you think about the new performance car of the year from Road and Track, that 700 plus horsepower Corvette? I mean, do you see an end in sight? I mean, we're going with automated vehicles, electric vehicles, and still super high performance. Where do you see the direction of, like, particularly General Motors and their performance vehicles going in?
That's a really good question. I think that you're always still going to have the Corvette and Camaro, things like that. That's going to happen. I know they're coming out with huge horsepowers. I don't know if people have ever driven that kind of horsepower, because there's probably not even hardly 1% of the population that could even handle that kind of horsepower,
right.
To be honest with you.
Right.
But electric cars, I think they got a ways to go. I think they're still in the development stage. When that's all going to take fruition, I don't know. Same way with the autonomous cars. I can see them based in the city for city elements, but they're still going to have conventional gas-powered cars when they're out in the rural areas, out in, say, Wyoming. Where are you going to plug an electric car in Wyoming?
Right.
So I think it's going to be a combination of both, but how that's all going to shake out, we have to wait and see.
If there's one thing that you could say to the performance car enthusiast, of which I am a performance car enthusiast, looking future, what would that be? What would you give them advice on, or what would you tell them to do, or buy old muscle, new muscle?
Boy, that's
that crystal ball question, John. I'm sorry.
I think that the performance is still going to be around. I see a trend with the modern cars not being, quote, collector cars, to be honest with you. I just don't see it. I see the older cars, and you see it when you go to Barrett Jackson or some of these, really big auction houses.
Right.
Still the older cars are going, and what John and I've talked about is the what do you call it? The resto cars are the ones that are really going.
Yes.
Where they're putting a modern powertrain in an old style vehicle. Those things are going for insane.
Oh, I know.
Insane money. Why? Because you got all the elements of fuel economy, buy gas anywhere. You got the right suspension, the shock absorbers, the whole 9 yards, and it's really a darn nice car. But they've got the look of the old car, and I see that happening more and more and more. And I think the more it happens, maybe the price will come down. But right now, you better have some deep pockets to get into that deal.
Well, there was a company that I met at Barrett Jackson, CR Coachworks, and located, I believe it's Utah, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a couple of guys that have cars down here, and they want me to take them for I I get to go for a spin with them. And you're right, they're talking about the old school body style of the Corvettes, the old school body style of the Chevelles, and whatnot, all of this modern stuff. But you're in excess of a couple $100,000 for this stuff. And do you see that changing, or is that like, do you feel, because you've been in this industry a long time, do you feel like that's the direction this industry is going?
Hard to tell. I think you're still going to see some of that for a while. How long it's going to continue, I don't know. I just really don't know. It's all going to play out on the availability and what's going to happen. I know the reason they're going to the modern powertrains is because of the gas. If you say the old gaskets and the old hoses and stuff like that, they don't like that new gas. And
right.
So if you want to keep the original equipment, you've got to do a lot of reconfiguring to make it work functional without having gas leaks and stuff like that. So it's a kind of a toss-up right now. I think it's still going to be going on for quite a number of years. But
good. All right.
A lot of the people that are really interested are getting older, and so don't know. I don't see the younger people being that attracted to it anymore. That's where I really see the big change.
See, that's one thing that I'm trying to do to reach out with the YouTube channel here, is to get the young people more interested in the cool stuff. And you see a lot of young builders, like at SEMA. I was at SEMA, and you see a lot of those young builders and whatnot up there. And so in wrapping up, is there anything, John, you guys want to say to the folks out there? I mean, I do appreciate your time, and it's a sincere pleasure meeting you. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things and read about you, and yeah, it's cool. Anything else, guys?
The only thing I can say is I remember years back when Chevrolet Tahoe took the place of the Caprice.
Yeah.
And we're at the New Car Auto Show in Detroit, and we're talking with your boss, the Vice President and General Manager of Chevrolet. And I said, I'd like to go for a road test in one of these new Tahoe police cars. And the gentleman turned around, looked at me, and said, "John, that's just fine, but you're going to have to ride in the back seat because I know you ain't never been in the front seat of a police car."
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate everything. Thank you.
At Arrowhead Cadillac, Top Hat John, at Eric's Garage AZ.
Yep.
General Motors alumni.
All right.
Believe it or not, we're not in Michigan, and it's not snowing.
Oh, isn't it great? Yep. watching. Stay tuned for more right here on Eric's Garage AZ.